Today we're making one of my all-time favorites, a jalapeño cheddar sourdough loaf that's cheesy, spicy, and full of flavor in every bite. I'll show you exactly how to add the inclusions so the cheddar and jalapeno are perfectly distributed throughout the dough. No empty spots, no clumps, just gooey cheese and that perfect kick in every bite. We will start by adding 100 grams of active sourdough starter to our bowl, 325 grams of water. This dough will be a lower hydration just because the jalapenos will add some hydration to this dough, so it'll be easier to handle. You'll want to mix these two together, and then you're adding 500 grams of flour and 10 grams of salt. You go ahead and mix everything together again until there are no more pockets of flour left over on your bowl, making sure that everything is well incorporated. And then we will let our dough rest for 30 minutes, and then we'll start on our first set of stretch and folds. We won't be adding any inclusions on this first set. I want to focus on strengthening the dough before adding anything into it. So I go ahead and do 4 stretch and folds, and then I flip my dough over and I kind of fold it into itself, doing a few slap and folds, and then I cover it and let it sit for 30 more minutes. I grated 100 grams of sharp cheddar cheese and I cut up 2.5 jalapenos. You want to cut them up pretty small, that way you can have some jalapeno everywhere and you don't have huge chunks of jalapeno. You also want to grate the cheese, that way you don't have huge pockets of cheese, because when you have cubes of cheese that are too big, it'll create big pockets or holes in the dough. So when you cut into it, sometimes you see really big holes. So I go ahead and put a little bit on the dough, stretch it and flip it over, covering the inclusions a little bit. And then I do this 4 times going around the bowl. And then I will have a little bit less than half of the inclusions on my container. I will use the rest and add it into the third set of stretch and folds. So right here you're gonna see that I added the jalapenos and the cheddar, and now I am going to roll this dough into a ball. That way all of the inclusions are on the inside of the dough. I'm going to let the dough rest for another 30 minutes and then we'll do our third set. This is what our third set is looking like. You can see the little specks of cheese and jalapeno popping through. So now I am just going to add the rest of the inclusions, folding the dough over and then going around the bowl 4 times. And then I go ahead and make the dough into a ball, trying to put the inclusions inside the dough. That way the inclusions are not just on the outside. I have diced jalapenos before, just sliced them and put cubes of cheese into the dough before, and I feel like cutting them smaller and shredding the cheese does really make a huge difference. And you'll see the end result. There's pieces everywhere without there being huge holes in the dough once you bake it. So here I'm just gonna let the dough rest for another 30 minutes. And on the 4th set, I do coil folds. You can see that the dough is very tight. It's packed with inclusions. And I'm just being very gentle, trying to keep all of the jalapeno and cheese inside the dough without the dough ripping. If it rips a little bit, it's okay. Just kind of tuck it in a little bit and just keep going very, very gently. And then you let the dough bulk ferment on the counter until it is nice and jiggly, domed at the top, and it pulls away from the bowl. You can see the jalapeno and the cheese popping through. This is what you want to see. Once it's done bulk fermenting, you want to get your banneton ready. This is what I like to do. I put some plastic wrap on the banneton and then I put the liner right on top of it, just to prevent my banneton from smelling like jalapenos, or even if you have chocolate inclusions or anything sweet like cinnamon sugar, it'll prevent your banneton from getting stained. And then you can just take it off and wash the liner and you're good to go. So now here my dough is looking beautiful, nice and jiggly. I'm going to shape it on my mat. Now I'm adding a little bit of flour onto my hands. Sometimes the jalapeno can add a little bit extra moisture to your dough, and it'll make your dough feel a little bit on the sticky side or on the wet side. So to make shaping easier, I just add a little bit onto my hands. That way the dough doesn't stick to it. And then I'm just going to fold the dough like an envelope, and then I'm going to shape it very gently into a ball. Now I'm putting my dough in the banneton. I like to use a batard shape. Using this banneton helps the shape when putting it into a loaf pan. And then I'm going to try to stitch the dough just a tad bit here. You can see all of the inclusions on the bottom. It looks so beautiful. I put my dough into the refrigerator overnight, and I go ahead and pull it out in the morning when it's ready to be baked. One last look before she goes to sleep in the refrigerator. She looks so pretty. All of those jalapeno pieces look amazing. So now in the morning, you preheat your oven to 450 degrees. You get your 2 loaf pans ready, and we go ahead and take out our dough. I am going to get some parchment paper. That way I can put the dough into it. That way the cheese, if it melts, it doesn't stick to the pan and it's hard to get off. And this is what I like to do. I go ahead and put it into the pan. I adjust the dough a little bit using the parchment paper, and I just rip off the excess. I go ahead and score it, and I put it in the oven with the other pan on top, acting as a lid. And I bake this dough for 30 minutes with the lid on and 10 minutes with the lid off. My oven does run a little bit hot when it is hot outside, so it doesn't need the full 15 minutes. You can check the temperature of your loaf. It should be from 205 to 210 degrees. That's when you'll know it is done baking from the inside. I go ahead and put the other loaf pan right on top and pop it in the oven. After the 30 minutes, I take off the lid and then I rotate my pan so the front can be towards the back, just because the back of the oven is a bit hotter. That way it can bake evenly. And this is what it looks like. You can see here that it's super easy to pop out of the loaf pan. Look at all of the inclusions, the jalapeno, the cheddar cheese, just everywhere. You can see the little specks. It's evenly distributed, even at the bottom. And we are gonna cut this baby open just to see the inside, because the outside is so beautiful. I'm sure the inside will be too. And this is the end result. Look at how beautiful this crumb is. It baked out perfect. There's no big chunky holes of cheese or the jalapenos. You can see that there's bits of both throughout the loaf. I hope this video helped you. That way you can get the perfect jalapeno and cheddar cheese loaf.